hometown station.
KHTS is the only station I listen to.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM, also on Facebook Live. Join us here if you're at home and on your computer screen. I'm Matt Watson with Sara McDaniels. This is SCVi Charter Schools Eye on the Valley Homeschooling Answers. We've got a quick traffic update, a serious traffic issue that may be affecting your drive. We're going to go to Shane to talk about that.
Thank you, Matt. I will turn down your fancy intro music just to make it extra serious. Coming straight from our reporter, Jade Abishon, we know that there are a lot of people who are quarantining. However, if you are an essential services worker and traveling to or from the Bakersfield area, be advised the Grapevine, the 5 freeway, is closed in both directions. That's going to be closed on the northbound side at Lebec Road and on the southbound side at Grapevine Road. This is due to a traffic collision involving a tanker truck and a big rig with a hazardous spill of liquid chloride in the northbound lanes. Also, the westbound 138, where it meets the northbound 5, is closed for an unknown duration, so be advised. There's going to be some delays. Back to you, man.
Yeah, definitely. Keeping our thoughts and prayers up there. Hopefully everybody's okay and we can get that back open for you. But please stay tuned here to your hometown station for further updates. We'll continue to update your drive and everything else that's going on locally and nationally. Right now we're talking to Allison Bravo, Program Coordinator with iLEAD Online. Allison, you talked about the preparedness along with the hard work of people like you and your team and our leadership as well as our IT team. It took that kind of perfect dovetailing of the fact that we had programs already set up and running for several years, along with the foresight of, for example, our IT team, our leadership team that had been working toward this closure almost a month in advance. And then, of course, like you said, some long nights and some deep weekends of coffee and chocolate. So we got our kids migrated over, but it's one thing to say, okay, kids, this is what we're doing. Okay, families, this is how you handle this. This is how we're prepared to support you. It's an entirely different thing to migrate those teachers, those facilitators who are used to being there with their kids and interacting. And, you know, some of us have 20, 25 plus years of experience doing what we do. And then, again, overnight, having to do it differently. So what kind of support, Allison, did you have to provide to those teachers, to our facilitators out there?
Yeah, well, I think it goes back to, again, the way that we do things a little bit differently at iLEAD helps to prime that transition. We provided a lot of training at the start before schools even closed. Just like we run fire drills at school, we ran a school closure and transition to remote learning drill for our teachers, so they at least knew what was coming and how to handle if we should go that way. And then 2 days later, it actually happened, so I'm glad we snuck that in quickly.
Yep.
And then we're providing daily Zoom collabs. You know, we're all just really hungry for and craving connection. So our facilitators have the option to join us with some experts and veterans at iLEAD Online daily to get tips and tricks, to share best practices, and to really just connect into this mind shift change of what it means to deliver quality content online and support learners from home.
So you talk about tips and tricks. I know our parents back home would be interested in hearing what you might have to say. But before we get to that, I want to just ask how it's going. We're 2.5 weeks in now. We've moved, like I said, 2,500 kids into a sudden online learning platform. Allison, what are the results you're seeing? How's it going so far?
Yeah, I think we're hearing a lot of positive. You know, we're all in this together, and so there's highs and lows and moments of, oh my goodness, how much longer do we do this? Am I doing it right? And then there's a lot of moments of success. So I think overall it's going really well. Our facilitators are continuing to reach out and communicate with learners, and our learners are really getting the hang of how to do this distance learning thing.
Yeah, and we're hearing lots of positive feedback from our families and from our kids, and those are our clients, right? So it's good to hear. Yeah, Sarah's kind of pointing at herself saying, yeah, it's going great for my kids. So now you've got this experience with online learning, and I know you've supported and our homeschooling programs as well. As you know, most of our families and our listeners are homeschooling for the first time. Have you got any advice, tips, tricks for our listeners that may not be enrolled in an iLEAD school, or maybe they are, but how can you help our families that are listening?
Sure. Well, first of all, chocolate and coffee. Second of all, I think just check. Yep. Mm-hmm. And then really, as a parent or a caregiver, giving yourself permission to slow down and not to do everything, and think about quality over quantity. If you do one school-related activity a day, what is it? And then I'm kind of putting on my mom hat here for a second. When I make pancakes on Saturday mornings for my kids, I either grate zucchini in those pancakes, and we have green pancakes, Hulk pancakes, or I put some beet juice in those pancakes, and we have, pink unicorn pancakes.
Nice.
My kids think it's great, and I know that they're getting a little bit more than flour, sugar, and baking soda. So the same advice goes to learning. Let your child lead the learning. Now is a great time to let your child learn a new skill or participate in household activity that they're ready to do, and then build in the learning to that. Have them count, have them read, have your teenagers design a business. Find ways to let your child lead the learning, and know that the academics will follow, and give yourself permission to do that.
Fantastic. Those are such important points. Now, really quickly, but before you go, it sounds like your kids are getting to work back there.
I apologize for the screaming baby.
No reason to apologize. It sounds like learning, and it's so fun. It's music to my ears. I wanted to ask you about Track C, C as in cat. Is there school going on in July? Am I hearing correctly, Allison? What is Track C?
Yeah, good question. So iLEAD online, and we have a semester that starts in July that, again, is free and open to the public in Southern California, where we do just that. We do an accelerated pace for learning, so learners can take 1 or 2 classes at a time for as long as they need. We have grades 2 through 12. Our high schoolers get a official WASC accredited, UC approved transcript for credits. And our little kids have some really great kind of summer campy projects to do online and in the household without needing to leave home. So we're registering now, and registration's open until June 1st. And we're really excited about that.
Fantastic. And for more information, you can go to iLEADonline.org. Very simple. iLEADonline.org, and get more information about our full-time charter school or that Track C school in July. Allison, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. Your team is doing remarkable things for our iLEAD schools, kids, as well as our listeners. So thank you so much. We appreciate your time. We do have a quick traffic update as to what's going on up in the Grapevine. Shane?
We want to keep you informed. We understand this is usually a traffic hour, and we do our best to give you breaking news. So coming straight from our reporter, Jade Abishon, if you are an essential services worker traveling to and from the area of Bakersfield, or just heading in that area, the I-5 Grapevine Freeway is closed in both directions. It's closed on the northbound side at Lebec Road, and on the southbound side at Grapevine Road. This is due to a traffic collision involving a tanker truck and a big rig, in which a hazardous spill of liquid chloride has covered the northbound lanes. In addition to this, the westbound 138, where it connects to the northbound 5 freeway, is also closed for an unknown duration, so expect delays in that area.
And after the break, we got a fantastic idea for you that will lighten up your entire neighborhood and make you a hero and make for a great day for you and your kids and the neighborhood kids. You're listening to SCVi Charter Schools Eye on the Valley Homeschooling Answers. I'm Matt Watson with Sara McDaniels on your hometown station, KHTS.
During this unprecedented time, Dunkin' has continually focused on the health and safety of their employees and, of course, you, the customer. Dunkin's committed to being there for you, serving in the safest way possible, following all national, state, and local guidelines. Here in Santa Clarita, Dunkin' has implemented carry-out and drive-through services, in addition to curbside pickup. The Dunkin' in Canyon Country is open from 5 a.m. until 7 p.m., serving guests with carry-out and drive-through services. The Dunkin' on Bouquet Canyon near Lowe's is open from 5 a.m. until 7 7 p.m. with carryout and curbside pickup. Download the Dunkin' app to pay, order, and accumulate points. Dunkin' is now also available through Grubhub for home and office delivery.
Hi, Cat. Elmo wants to know, what is the census?
The census is a special time when we count every single person in the country.
Do kids and babies count too?
Of course, counting everyone in your home helps support your neighborhood by funding schools, hospitals, and more. So complete the census by calling, going online, or returning your form by mail. It's totally private.
Visit 2020census.gov and
Make your family count!
Brought to you by Carnegie Corporation of New York and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Pastor Rusty from Real Life Church with a minute of encouragement. Remember that game we used to play on the playground where we'd hit the ball around the pole? We called it tether ball. Everything worked great until somebody hit the ball so hard it just unhinged from the rope. Doesn't it feel like our culture and even our world is in that right now? With coronavirus making us wonder about our economy, our work, even our personal freedom, it just feels like we have nothing to put our faith in anymore. That's why I love the words of Jesus, who says, "Whoever puts their trust in me is like a man who builds his house on the rock. When the storms come, the winds will not destroy him." Friends, if you're wondering right now how we're going to do this, we're going to do this the way that we do anything, and that is we're going to get through this together. Put your hope in the rock.
If you would like prayer, text the word prayer to 661-270-7788.
Why did Mercedes-Benz of Valencia win the Dealer of Excellence Award in 2019?
Because we strive to provide the most outstanding sales experience.
Mercedes-Benz of Valencia COO Chris Paz.
We know you have high expectations. Our stellar team will meet and exceed your expectations. That's why we were named Mercedes Best of the Best, placing us in the top 10% of all Mercedes dealers nationwide.
Find out how you can lease a new Mercedes for unbelievably low monthly payments. Details at mbzvalencia.com.
Great healthcare just got easier and more convenient in Canyon Country. Facey Canyon Country is now open directly off the Soledad Canyon exit off the 14 freeway. The 37,000 square foot clinic houses Facey Medical Group primary care physicians, pediatricians, and specialists. Facey has easy 24/7 online appointment scheduling for PCPs and PEDS. For more information or to make an appointment, visit facey.com. That's FACEY.com.
Dreaming of becoming the next Steph Curry or Klay Thompson, or maybe just you want your kid to look good and have fun on the court? Introducing the Shotmaster. The Shotmaster is a revolutionary basketball training aid that isolates the shooting pocket, allows you to develop that consistent shot. Shotmaster will improve your shooting efficiency, accuracy, and shooting percentages dramatically. It's the ultimate training device. There's nothing like it. Visit shotmaster.net and discover for yourself how Shotmaster will become your game changer. Shotmaster.net.
Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson with Sara McDaniels. We're also doing frequent traffic updates now that we've got something going on the grapevine with my board op, Shane. You're listening to Eye on the Valley Homeschooling Answers. Shane, do we have an update?
Yes, we do. Well, it's more of the same update, but we want to keep you, the residents of Santa Clarita, up to the latest. Coming straight from our reporter, Jade Abishon, on the I-5 Grapevine Freeway. Both lanes in both directions are closed. It's going to be closed on the northbound side at Lebec Road and on the southbound side at Grapevine Road. This is due to a large traffic collision that has left a hazardous spill of liquid chloride in the northbound lanes. And in addition to the closures on the 5, the westbound 138, where it connects to the northbound 5 freeway, is also closed for an unknown duration, so expect delays in that area.
So just another reason to stay safe and stay home. Our next guest here on Homeschooling Answers is Graham Silver with Silver Tunes. He's got a terrific business that, like many people these days, has had to be put on hold. But, you know, we talk about the 7 habits of highly effective people and what effective and successful people do instead of being a victim of the circumstances. And hey, who could blame him? You know, the weddings are canceled, bar mitzvahs are canceled, my business is closed, I can't do anything about it. But instead of being that victim of his circumstances, Graham has just grabbed life by the horns. He took control of what he can control and pivoted in, Sarah, the most beautiful way. Graham, welcome in.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Of course. Thanks for joining us, and I know my listeners don't know exactly why yet, but thanks for what you're doing. First off, would you tell us a little bit about Silver Tunes? What do you do, and how long have you been in business?
Yeah, Silver Tunes Entertainment. We provide all types of entertainment services, primarily for weddings, but we do bar mitzvahs, sweet 16s, corporate events. I've been doing this for over 25 years now, and I've been a resident of Santa Clarita for around 15 years as well.
Well, fantastic. And so you've got this flourishing and exciting business. We were talking off the air about the hazards of talking all day and being Mr. Microphone Man, so you know what I'm going through with my vocal cords right now. But with weddings and all those events, like I said, being put on hold, that can really put a damper in things. But now, how have you handled this change? What have you done, Graham, to like I said, pivot and shift your work?
Yeah, I realize that whenever people ask me what I do for a living, I always say that I party for a living. And that's a big part of what I do. My business is bringing joy. And what I realized is because I have to be socially distant, and events is the lifeblood of my industry. My wife's friend, Lisa, she had recommended, she said, hey, do you think Graham could come out to our street staying socially distant and play some music for my kids because they're going crazy being stuck inside? So at that time, I basically just scratched my head and got the idea that all of a sudden we came up with Driveway DJ and realized that I'm able to get out there, get the families out on the driveway so everybody once again is staying far apart from each other, but now we get to bring happiness, and these kids are just having such an amazing time, and I actually think the adults are even having more fun than their kids by looking at it.
Oh, I bet they are, and you're probably providing, mom, dad, caretakers a much-needed respite. You know, if the kids can get out there in the driveway and party with you and have a good time, maybe they can grab a glass of orange juice and kind of relax for a few minutes. So how does this work? That's absolutely amazing. Do you just like pull up at the end of the cul-de-sac and set your equipment out on the street? How does it work? What happens?
Yeah, that is it. I'm pretty much pulling up my car. I'm across the street, and I have my speakers out, once again, staying far away. It's a 30-minute dance set, so I'm playing games. We're doing interaction. We're doing like the Cupid Shuffle, the YMCA. We're playing games like Simon Says, Name That Disney Tune. So for 30 minutes, I'm just out there enjoying it with the families. And then I also realized that there's a lot of adults as well that want to have fun with this. So I just also created Music Bingo, where we also get out there and we do 80s, 90s, boy bands, country, all kinds of things as well. So the adults can also get out there, grab a drink, sit out on their driveway, staying safe, and have a good time.
Fantastic. You're speaking my language, Graham. I love me some 80s flashback, and I can Cupid Shuffle with the best of them. So this isn't just for like one family that you would set up. This sounds like a whole neighborhood kind of gig.
That is correct. So people, absolutely, we're having many families come together. Right now we're averaging around 8 to 9 families that are coming together. You don't necessarily have to be exact next door neighbors, but if you are definitely spread apart, at least 2 to 3 houses, but at least in a distance where you're going to be able to hear my instructions, and then I'm able to visually see you as well. That's how it works.
So that's a good point. So like if I live a block over, I can maybe walk with my kids down and maybe kind of party in a driveway of a family that perhaps doesn't have kids or isn't out that day. So, gosh, this is fantastic. What an amazing idea. We talked yesterday about, making sure that we don't pass on April Fool's Day because our kids need that fun. They need this to be a time where they can release a little bit. They can get out and exercise. And like you said, Graham, so important to bring joy to other people's lives. And so if we can do this for a half an hour, what an amazing experience. So this doesn't have to be, hey, you remember that couple of months where we were all trapped in our house and fighting with each other? It turns into a, hey, remember that quarantine time where mom hired that DJ and he came over and we did a block party where we all stayed more than 6 feet apart and we Cupid shuffled on the driveway? That was so amazing. It can help really keep things upbeat. And then, we talk about some heavier things in the show about like mental health. This can really help take the edge off and mitigate some of those concerns that our families might have. Graham, this is a fantastic service. So
And I love that it involves the families too.
Yes,
It's not
yes.
just the face painting person at the party that's there just for the kids, but this is for everyone.
Yeah, definitely. So you get the teens out there. So Graham, I don't know if you're allowed to share pricing on the air. Are you able to share what you charge for something like this?
Yes, absolutely. There is no charge. This is I'm doing this for the community. I'm not charging for this.
You've got to be kidding, Graham. You're driving around and throwing parties for free.
I'm driving around throwing parties for free. I want people to bring joy. I have a 12-year-old and a 14-year-old. They're inside the house. They're on there watching TikTok, doing their video games on their computers. I want these kids and their families to get out, take that 30-minute break. Let's get the wiggles out. Let's enjoy. Let's have fun. So I'm doing this as a community service. Absolutely no charge.
That is so inspiring, Graham. Bless you for that. You know, I mentioned before about throwing around the handle, the moniker of hero. But Graham, you are a hero to so many families, and I'm hoping for many more. How can our listeners reach you? Do you have a website, email, phone number you can share?
Thank you. So if you go to drivewaydj.com, I also have the instructions on how we do it safe for everybody, and go under the contact form. Let me know what area. I'm trying to hit all the areas out in Santa Clarita, from Valencia, Canyon Country, Castaic, Saugus. Let me know where you want me to come by, and just fill out the contact form. We'll be in touch with you. And even if you're having a birthday party and your kid's kind of bummed out that they can't have a party, let me show up and just have some fun for 30 minutes with your family and friends. So we need at least a minimum of 4 to 5 houses to participate to get the best experience.
Okay, terrific. That's drivewaydj.com. We will make sure that we put that website up on the Facebook feed and blast it out. Graham, you're doing an amazing service for your community. Again, bless you. Thank you so much. You're truly inspiring for both your creativity and your generosity. Thank you for all you do, sir. We appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me.
We're going to have to get caught up on some national news stories and the latest updates right now, but stay tuned. At the top of the hour, we'll be talking with Carl Goldman, co-owner of KHTS, COVID-19 survivor, and world-class prankster. You're listening to SCVi Charter Schools Eye in the Valley, Homeschooling Answers, with your host Matt Watson and Sara McDaniels on your hometown station, KHTS.
Coronavirus curve of Italy.
We think Italy may be the most comparable area to the United States at this point for a variety of reasons, and so we built that modeling. I know that there's another organization, the Gates Foundation, has supported that's done similar modeling.
Italy has more than 110,000 cases and more than 13,000 deaths from the virus, while that nation's been in lockdown. Pence says the U.S. was late to handling the crisis because of bad information coming from China. More than 4,100 dead in the U.S., more than 190,000 confirmed infections. Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling has launched a Potter online site to keep kids educated and entertained during the virus. I'm Mike Moss. Ventilators and beds are running tight in Louisiana. Correspondent Ed Lavandera is in New Orleans.
One emergency official was describing to us one of the other troubling things that they're noticing is that here in particular in the city of New Orleans, the death rate for people infected has been about 5%. A lot of factors that go into that. Because of that number, they're really urging people to take all of these stay-at-home orders, to distance themselves.
Pennsylvania Governor Tom Wolf has just enacted a stay-at-home order for his state, calling it the best option. Wimbledon has been been canceled this year because of the coronavirus pandemic, the first time since World War II that the oldest Grand Slam tennis tournament won't be played. A Missouri man has been charged with making a terrorist threat after he allegedly coughed toward customers and wrote COVID on a cooler at a Dollar Tree store. On Wall Street, the Dow was down 913. That's more than 4%. I'm Mike Moss.
Do you want to learn to speak a new language but don't have enough time? Then you need to try Babbel, the language learning app that you can try for free right now at Babbel.com. Babbel's lessons are just 15 minutes or less, and you can go at your own pace. You'll be amazed at how easy Babbel makes it. Start your first lesson in the language of your choice for free. Just download the Babbel app or go to Babbel.com now. That's Babbel.com.
When you go to the mechanic in here...
Pass me the torque wrench. Nope, let me have the flamethrower.
That sounds wrong. You know what else sounds wrong? When you hear about the interest you're earning on your savings with the largest banks. But with a Marcus by Goldman Sachs online savings account, you could earn much more interest. And hear this. Open a Marcus by Goldman Sachs online savings account in minutes at Marcus.com. You can money.
Comparison made to the 3 largest U.S. banks measured by total deposits. Rates as of February 4th, 2020 and may vary by state. Goldman Sachs Bank USA, member FDIC.
Thanks for listening to KHTS AM 1220, Canyon Country, California. K260CO 98.1 FM, Santa Clarita, California.
AM 1220, 98.1 FM, KHTS. David Cantrell and Fred Arnold of American Family Funding joined KHTS to discuss and shed some light on how the coronavirus COVID-19 health crisis and the subsequent actions taken by our local, state, and federal governments impact Santa Clarita residents financially.
So people are at home right now, and I'm sure they're worried about, what's happening with their credit, what's happening with their credit scores. What kind of advice do you have for that?
Immediately call your mortgage professional and ask them, one, does it make sense? A lot of mortgage professionals can pull a copy of your credit report for the purpose of analyzing it on whether it makes sense to refinance, because credit's critical when it comes to a home loan. Your credit score, 760, 740, 730, 720, as it gets low, your credit score gets lower, your price goes up on your loan. Well, it might be as simple is reallocating some of your debts, paying off a few debts. Right. Maybe there's a collection account that needs to be taken care of that you don't know that's medical. Right. Talk to your mortgage professional, because the higher the credit score, the better interest rate you're going to get if and when these interest rates continue to drop because of the slowdown in the economy.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. And it's very easy for mortgage professionals to look at that kind of information.
Exactly. And don't mistake the scores you're getting on your phone from the different credit card companies for a mortgage credit score. Many times they're different.
Yes, they're usually looked at very differently. Yes.
So. That was David Cantrell and Fred Arnold of American Family Funding giving some perspective on how the coronavirus, COVID-19, and subsequent actions taken by local, state, and federal government impact Santa Clarita residents financially. Visit AFFloans.com for more info and to contact Fred and David directly. Again, AFFloans.com.
Town Cleaners on Soledad is offering free dry cleaning for all first responders and medical personnel. Free pickup and delivery is also available. Call Mo at 250-1542. 250-1542. Town Cleaners on Soledad.
This is Jerry Soretti Goldman, co-owner of KHTS 98.1 FM, AM 1220, hometownstation.com. As you may have noticed, we have temporarily changed our music talk format to all news and talk until further notice. Carl and I have been personally affected by the coronavirus, and we are committed to making sure our listeners have the very best and latest information, which in turn will help all of us get through this incredibly trying time. For a few hours on the weekends, we will be running some feel-good music to help lift spirits and make you smile, even if it's just for a little bit. If an emergency arises, we will, of course, break in to give you the latest news. Please continue to social distance, check in with your family and friends, and take care of one another. Let's work together to show others that Santa Clarita is determined to help flatten the curve. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Pastor Rusty with a minute of encouragement. Are you going stir crazy with family right now? Maybe the people you love the most are actually driving you crazy. Well, if you find yourself in that situation, can I give you a few things that might encourage you, might actually help you? 1. Sit down the night before and plan out the next day. What are we all hoping to achieve tomorrow, and how could we do that together? 2. Plan some time for alone time. Go to 4 corners of the house and find times to be by yourself to just recalibrate your thinking. And 3, when it comes to arguments that might happen, instead of seeking correction and making sure everybody does things the way that you want them to, take a moment to seek connection. Help me understand why you feel this way. We'll get through this the way we get through everything, together.
If you would like prayer, text the word prayer to 661-270-7788.
As the stay-at-home order continues through the month of April, Burger King is committed to following state and federal safety guidelines when it comes to serving you, the customer. Although in-restaurant dining has closed, pickup and delivery service continues. The current hours are 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. You can mobile order through the BK app for pickup, or you can use any of the delivery services like DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub, and Postmates. Burger King on Lyons at the 5 Freeway, now with service at 2 drive-through windows.
California Credit Union, the only credit union in Santa Clarita focused on our educational community. California Credit Union offers low rates on loans for personal and business services, along with financial services for teachers, students, staff, and families. Free checking and very low new and used auto loan rates.
California Credit Union, your personal credit union, located in the River Oak Shopping Center next to Target.
Visit us and open an account today. Insured by NCUA, an agency of the federal government.
Consumers Furniture Gallery will temporarily close to the public as a precautionary measure due to the COVID-19 pandemic. However, as an essential retailer to the community we serve, we're committed to keeping our store available for homeowners and business that depend on us in times of urgent needs. To set up a showroom appointment, contact us at consumersfurniture@live.com. This is the most responsible way we can continue to care for our coworkers and our customers in a manner that is healthy and safe. We appreciate your understanding as we support each other through these uncertain times.
In response to LA County's stay-at-home mandate to prevent the spread of coronavirus, Reyes Winery, located on Sierra Highway in nearby Santa Clarita, will be providing pickup-only services on Saturdays and Sundays from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. All other services during the week and on the weekends will be temporarily suspended. Reyes Winery cares about the health and well-being of our community. Go to reyeswinery.com for more information or call 661-268-1865. That's 268-1865.
The best live theater can be found right here in the Santa Clarita Valley. The Canyon Theater Guild has been entertaining audiences for decades with top quality musicals and plays. Located on Main Street in Old Town Newhall, CTG also offers workshops for the young actor in your family. For more information, call the box office at 799-2702 or go online to canyontheater.org.
La Esmeralda is home to truly authentic Mexican food. This family-owned restaurant prides itself on its fresh-to-order menu. Even the tortillas are made in-house. If you have a taste for sizzling fajitas, flautas, or menudo, you have to try La Esmeralda's Mexican and Seafood Restaurant. Dine in or order out for the most authentic Mexican food Santa Clarita has to offer. Their Taco Tuesdays, it'll turn you into a regular. La Esmeralda on Bouquet at Haskell.
City Councilman Bob Keller here. Keep it tuned to 98.1 FM and AM 1220 KHTS, hometownstation.com, for the latest information regarding COVID-19. KHTS will have both national and local news and information during this unprecedented time. For more, go to the KHTS website or the KHTS Facebook page. KHTS is also available online in the free app for iPhone and Android. Continue to social distance, only going out if it's absolutely necessary, and continue to check on friends and family. With your help, we will flatten the curve and come through this stronger than ever. Thank you.
The following is sponsored programming and does not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of KHTS or its ownership.
Welcome back. Good morning. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 on the AM side. This is Matt Watson and Sara McDaniels. You're listening to Eye on the Valley Homeschooling Answers. And before we jump in with our next guest, we've got a traffic update. There's some issues going on in and around the Grapevine. So for that, we'll go to Shane.
Yes, issues there are, Matt. And if you are in essential services, working, traveling, if you have to be out of the house right now, be advised on the I-5 Grapevine Freeway. It is closed on both lanes in both directions. Expect delays in that area. The I-5 is closed on the northbound side at Lebec Road and on the southbound side at Grapevine Road. This is due to a large traffic collision that has left a hazardous spill of liquid chloride in the northbound lanes. In addition to those closures, the westbound 138, where it connects to the northbound 5 freeway, is also closed. This is for an unknown duration. And coming from our reporter, Jade Abishon.
So thank you very much, Shane. Please do stay safe. If you can find a way around, great. Otherwise, call the boss. Tell the boss you can't get there. You've got to stay safer at home. Joining us now is co-owner of KHTS and local philanthropist Carl Goldman. Many of you are aware of Carl's harrowing struggle with COVID-19 last month and into this month. First as a quarantine passenger on the Diamond Princess, then as a patient himself who tested positive, once again finding himself in quarantine, this time away from even his wife Jerry at the University of Nebraska Medical Center. He's now recovered from the virus and is at home with Jerry, but he remains at home and working from home and in self-quarantine all the while, blogging his own journey with his voice and style that has even encouraged his readers while he himself has been facing this incredible ordeal. Carl, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Matt. Hi, Sarah. How are you guys doing today?
We're doing great, Carl. So glad that you're here.
Yeah, definitely. And thanks for joining us from home. Before we get into some of the other things that I want to talk to you about, we all want to know, how are you doing? How are you feeling, Carl?
So I'm feeling fine. The coronavirus is totally out of my system, and I don't have any remnants of that. I did have GBS, Guillain-Barré syndrome, prior to my corona that started about in November. That is still impacting me, and now I'm working with doctors to start trying to get that into remission at this point.
Well, that's good. That was one of my other questions that I had. I know for the longest time you weren't able to get the treatments for the Guillain-Barré. So you're back in treatment now, and you and your doctors are working to get that under control, huh?
Yeah, so I'm working with the doctors right now to figure out what the next step will be.
Okay, good. You know, we're so glad to hear that great news that that as far as the COVID virus, you are virus free and getting back to getting stronger. Now, through all of this, you set some sort of record, didn't you?
Yeah, I think I'm the longest American to be in quarantine. And yesterday was actually the first day I ventured out after doing 14 more days here. So I did 54 days total, of 14 in Santa Clarita, 29 in Omaha, and 12 on board the Diamond Princess.
Wow, 54 days in quarantine. What a kind of a dubious record, but I guess congratulations. You did it. Go ahead. Yeah, so
no, I was going to say I'm lucky that that's all it was. And you know what? Quarantine, after a while, you get used to it. And I as I've written about in the journal, the key takeaways are to try and set up a regular routine. And I was doing a lot of work virtually, which I still do for the radio station. I spend a couple hours writing my journal, and then I also get to communicate with people via cell phone, via FaceTime with our family, and of course we're constantly texting each other.
Yeah, technology, I can imagine, has been quite a blessing during this time. You know, you and Jerry were first stuck in Japan and then in Omaha, but the entire time your staff here at the station carried on, not only running the station business as normal, but also covering your story, which was certainly this top story locally and a national story, and also probably pretty emotional for them at the same time watching you go through all this. You got to be proud of the staff here at the station.
Yeah, they've been incredible. So just stellar. They're our angels, as well as my medical team out in Nebraska. We're just very fortunate to have wonderful people surrounding us.
Yeah, and you guys are phenomenal leaders, and phenomenal leaders tend to be followed by phenomenal teams. These days, Sarah and I are spending quite a bit more time here around the station as we've gone from our regular 1-hour show to now 5 days a week, and I'm really struck by how kind and hardworking and competent everyone is. I've mentioned the same to Jerry on numerous occasions. So let's talk a little bit about today. Sarah and I had some fun on the air yesterday. Today is April 1st. Welcome to April, everybody. Spring is definitely in full gear. It's beautiful outside. Carl, you and the folks here at the station at KHTS have become kind of famous for, or well, maybe it's infamous, for the pranks that you've been pulling on all of us in the community over the years. I was sharing with Jerry yesterday that I think my favorite April Fool's gag that you guys pulled was the toll booth that you mentioned that had been erected by the city, installed there. I think it was on Golden Valley, allowing drivers to pass freely into Canyon Country, but they were charging $10 to get out of Canyon Country. Where did this idea start, Carl? Where did you come up with the idea to start pranking the entire city?
Well, April Fools has always been a great tradition with the media, going all the way back to the very, very famous Orson Welles' War of the Worlds, even though that was not on April Fools, but that was the first time that radio and the power of radio really was able to take something and have everybody get sucked into it is the way I say it. And that's the fun of it, is you want to start, as Orson Welles did with War of the Worlds, with regular programming and then short breaks, and it keeps crescendoing as you get deeper and deeper into it. We started, so there's been a tradition, and I have some other favorites which I wrote about and we put up and posted today in today's journal, and people can go watch that, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But the reason we decided this year, there's enough stress out there with everybody, and our whole intent is to keep people calm, and while we like people to smile and laugh, this year we thought the whole idea of April Fools is to fool somebody and get them sucked into it. We didn't want to stress anyone out. We didn't want to add to the stress that's already there. And Sarah, I hear you saying, you can appreciate that too, that we decided this is not the right time to do it. Obviously, April Fools, if we postpone April Fools to October, that's not going to work. So I think we'll just rest this year's April Fools, which was going to be a doozy. And
save it
we'll
for next
save
year.
That for next year. Yep, we're saving that for next year. Exactly. But the idea of April Fools, particularly because we labored over it for a couple of years, because people respect the news, and the people do not necessarily want to be fooled by the news. But we decided, you know what, we're a radio station, even though we are a legit news organization, and we do have a responsibility out there. We figured we could do it once a year, but we temper it and make sure that by the bottom of the story, it's very clear that it's an April Fool's joke, and then we move the story the next day into a template that says it's April Fool's. So now in this day and age with Google finding stuff, they're not going to pull up something that isn't clearly labeled that this is April Fool's parody. But we started out, and as the ideas grew and as we started doing it, it became more and more of an inside joke for Santa Clarita, because that's our whole focus. We're hyper-local. Everything we do news-wise comes from the Santa Clarita perspective. So what better way than to also do it with April Fools? So it became very easy over time to take our most prominent leaders out there, mostly our politicians, and since we know them so well, it's very easy to exaggerate what their personality would actually say with whatever we created. But Matt, you talked about the toll booth one. That was wild. We actually put it virtually outside of our radio station window when the radio station used to be right on the corner of Soledad and Camp Plenty.
Right, I remember.
and started doing traffic reports early in the morning about it. People were calling in complaining. People were calling our city council members. How could they possibly do it? And we thought that since we lived in Canyon Country, we've always lived in Canyon Country for the 30 years we've been out here. Our radio station, at that time, the studios and offices were in Canyon Country, and our towers were licensed to Canyon Country, and our towers physically sit in Canyon Country. So we figured if anyone could make fun of Canyon Country, we could do it, but we were wrong.
Oh, no.
Did you guys get in a little bit of trouble for that one? Because I loved it.
Yeah, there were a lot of people who were upset that we had trashed Canyon Country in a comedic way. So that was funny. One year we put an airport at Whitaker Burmite.
That was my favorite. You were joking about how people get sucked in. My parents, I don't know if you guys know, they just moved to Santa Clarita 5 years ago from Arizona to be closer to me and the grandkids. They moved in March. That April, the story broke about the airport going in to Santa Clarita, and my phone rang. It was my dad. Did you see this? Oh my gosh, they're going to put an airport in Santa Clarita. I said, Dad, look at the date. Look at the date, Dad. But he hadn't lived here long enough to know that this was your usual April Fool's Day prank. It was great.
Right, in the early days when we first started the April Fool's jokes, this was just as Google was coming in and the internet was coming in. We had done some April Fools long before the internet, where one year we made it seem like we had gone all Christmas all the time, and we actually sent Santa around to a number of preschools and giving away some presents and candy, and then parents were very confused that Santa had arrived on April Fool's Day to their kids' preschool. I thought the kids were making it up. But we've been trying over time to come up with as many gimmicks as we can and make sure that starting out it starts like a legitimate story, and then as you get deeper and deeper into the story, the whole concept gets more and more ridiculous, and then at the end, of course, we say that it's an April Fool's joke. You guys mentioned two of my favorites that we didn't do that are classics out there. The one that's become a tradition classic and is taught or at least for many years was taught in communication classes, was back in the late 50s, the BBC put together a documentary, 2.5-minute documentary on the spaghetti harvest that was being done at a small town in Switzerland, where the spaghetti was growing on trees and the peasants would come and pick the spaghetti and dry it out.
Yes.
And it's still available on YouTube. If you go to our website right now and look at our April Fool's story, there's a link to the YouTube of the BBC doing it. And back then, of course, it was the BBC, and they're the most legitimate news source out there.
Right.
So, and they ended up doing a poll after that of people in Great Britain, how many of them thought that spaghetti then grew on trees, and the numbers were staggering.
It is incredible. Carl, I'm a teacher, and we're constantly reminding our kids, you've got to read the entire story. Folks that would read any one of your April Fool's stories, as you said, by the time you get to it, it just builds and builds and builds. By the time you get to the end of the story, you realize that something's got to be awry here. But not everybody does that. Our listeners know that I'm kind of a big sports guy, and I remember when I was a kid, Sports Illustrated published one about a pitcher from Ireland named Sid Bream, and I think they published that he was throwing something like 117-mile-an-hour fastball, and that they had brought him in, and the Mets had picked him up, and that one they published on April 1st, but they carried that story for a couple of months.
Oh, wow.
And they actually had him in a cage. Now, it was roped off. They wouldn't allow any cameras or anything like that, and so no one could see him. but they actually had a pitching machine there, and they were pitching these balls at about 120 miles an hour up against a screen, and reporters were just salivating. They could not get enough of it. And finally, Sports Illustrated just went back, and they kind of digitally blacked out their entire article except for the first letter of every paragraph that ended up spelling out Happy April Fool's Day.
Oh, that's awesome.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, it was an incredible story. So we kind of put it on hold. We're celebrating April Fool's Day of the past. Sarah and I spent an entire break telling our listeners yesterday not to forget April Fool's Day. And then we spoke with Jerry afterwards, and she says, we're not doing April Fool's Day this year. It's still okay for our families to celebrate at home, though, right?
Of course. But you want to be careful about it, and right now, joking is fun, and smiling at yourself is fun, but if it's too pointed or people get too sucked in, it's just going to add stress to everything, and we definitely don't want to do that at this particular time. There's this most stressful one I've ever heard of, which I also talk about in the article, is way back in the late 70s, there were compact cars that were red. A lot of compact cars were red, VWs, Toyotas, the old Datsuns, and for some reason the rental car companies all had the red compacts. And when you're at Disney World, the parking attendants directed all the red subcompacts to one area of the parking lot. So there were hundreds and hundreds of red compacts. And in Florida, most people rent cars when they're going to Disney World. So here you have a rental car. This was the day before your keychain could click and your car can light up. So you had all these parents coming out of a full day with their kids at Disney World, and now they don't know if they parked their red compact in Goofy 6 or Mini 5, and then of course they didn't even know whether they had a Toyota or a Datsun or what, and yeah, so that was beyond a stressful thing.
Try your key in each door back then.
Yeah, that backfired on Disney, that one.
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. The point is to put a smile on people's faces. If parents are listening, let's giggle through the day and not make it too traumatic. Just really quickly, I know Shane's telling me we do have to take a break here in a couple of minutes, but I just wanted to ask, Carl, through this entire ordeal that you've been through, I mean, you kind of been to hell and back, and not only that, you watched your wife and friends go through it too. Yet at the same time, you've always maintained such incredible poise and perspective. Where do you find your strength, Carl? Not only to sustain yourself through all of this, but your wife and your community. Where do you get your strength?
Well, I certainly get that from my family, certainly from my wife, Jerry, and just making sure that I've always been optimistic. I've seen the glass half full instead of half empty, and quarantine right now can be that way. You can make it miserable for yourself, or you can make it the most wonderful experience of your lifetime and be able to look back at it and have fond memories. And as my wife Jerry says, look back at it as a gift and realize that it's giving you a perspective of all that you can appreciate. I've written about this so many times in my journal, but it's so true that when Jerry first got home, she had all of my home chores as well as her own. So she had to pick up the dog poop, which was really on my plate. And I said, sitting there in Omaha in quarantine, having been isolated, I actually missed picking up the dog poop. So now that I'm home and picking up the dog poop, I'm doing it with a smile on my face.
That's great. Well, you've really helped a lot of us through these difficult times, and we really want to thank you so much, Carl, for calling in and for everything you do through KHTS and in and around our community. We appreciate the chance to talk to you. Please stay healthy and take care of yourself.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Sarah. You take care.
Thanks, Carl.
Of course. We've got to get to some commercials, but please stick around. When we come back, we're going to be looking into habit number 3 from Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and we'll be checking in with our friend, the therapist, Christina DeBray. You're listening to SCVi Charter School's Eye on the Valley Homeschooling Answers. We are Matt Watson and Sara McDaniels on your hometown station, KHTS.
We all know sometimes people lose their way. If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction, the Way Out Recovery SCVi may have the answers you've been waiting for. The Way Out is the premier intensive outpatient treatment center serving Santa Clarita. Asking for help is the first step. Call The Way Out today, 661-296-4444. That's 296-4444 for a private free assessment. The Way Out is an accredited, affordable outpatient program that accepts most insurance. Call us at 661-296-4444 or check us out online at thewayoutrrecoveryscv.com. Quit battling with yourself. Ask The Way Out for help today.
AM 1220, 98.1 FM, KHTS. David Cantrell and Fred Arnold of American Family Funding joined KHTS to discuss and shed some light on how the coronavirus COVID-19 health crisis and the subsequent actions taken by our local, state, and federal governments impact Santa Clarita residents financially.
Everybody's talking about interest rates, the Fed lower their rates and things like that. So we just wanted to go over real quickly basically what happened and what you can do in the process. So Fred, you've been in this business for a long time. You've seen a lot of things go crazy. This is definitely crazy times. What did the Fed do and what does it mean for us?
So on Sunday, the Federal Reserve dropped interest rates almost to zero, between 0.25% on the federal funds rate. Understand, that's the federal funds rate. That's the rate in which the Federal Reserve lends money to financial institutions. I think the brilliance behind that was, what if everybody goes, instead of buying toilet paper and buying, all the things they've been buying in the supermarket, what if they run and get cash? And they didn't want there to be a run on cash in the banks. Mm-hmm. So therefore, you can borrow from us, banks, at little to no money interest rate required in case we need cash, number one. It also causes a lot of interest rates to drop, home equity lines of credit, car loans, credit cards, which is good for the consumer. The second thing they did, even a bigger thing they did, is the requirements of banks to have a minimum dollar amount in their the reserves, if you will. Right. Reserve requirements, they dropped that, which was very important because it added to liquidity in the market. The third thing they did, you're not going to see for a while, but long term it's going to be helpful for mortgage interest rates, is they committed to buy $700 billion with a B. Billion dollars in treasuries and mortgage-backed securities to cause interest rates to either stay low or not go up much higher than they currently are.
Mm-hmm. That was David Cantrell and Fred Arnold of American Family Funding giving some perspective on how the coronavirus, COVID-19, and subsequent actions taken by local, state, and federal government impact Santa Clarita residents financially. Visit AFFloans.com for more info and to contact Fred and David directly. Again, AFFloans.com.
Hi, I'm Pastor Rusty from Real Life Church with a minute of encouragement. How are we going to deal with the coronavirus? Most of us are filled with information and ideas and stats and studies, but we're wondering, what do we do? How do we get beyond this? Well, can I give you 3 words that always help? Love, share, and give. Find ways to find creative things to give and to share and to find ways to love and encourage people around you. Help out your neighbors by leaving some sidewalk chalk on their doorstep and saying, let's write messages to each other. Help out your friends and family by writing old-fashioned letters and encouraging them. Go by Santa Clarita Valley Grocery and drop off some canned goods, some water, and even precious toilet paper. Friends, we'll get through this like we do everything together.
If you would like prayer, text the word prayer to 661-270-7788.
Did you know you can attend College of the Canyons tuition free? Yeah. Canyons Promise provides incoming first-time college students the opportunity to attend College of the Canyons tuition free for their first 2 years. And you don't even have to be a recent high school graduate to take advantage of the opportunity. Anyone who's a first-time college student and meets the Canyons Promise criteria can sign up. Visit canyons.edu/promise for full details and to get signed up before June 15th. canyons.edu/promise.
This is Bradley Gross from Santa Clarita Grocery. Santa Clarita Grocery serves fresh groceries to families, individuals, and those experiencing homelessness. At Santa Clarita Grocery, out of every dollar donated, a full 99 cents goes directly to the needs being addressed. As an all-volunteer-led organization, we operate on a 1% overhead, receiving no government funding for our operations in the community, resulting in us being one of the most efficient charities in the Santa Clarita Valley. If you're looking to support the good for our community, please consider partnering with us by donating to Santa Clarita Grocery. What is donated is specifically kept in the Santa Clarita Valley, helping over 3,000 families, including 5 other community charities. Please visit our website, santaclaritagrocery.org, or visit us on social media or call us at 425-7575. That's 425-7575.
As the stay-at-home order continues through the month of April, Burger King is committed to following state and federal safety guidelines when it comes to serving you, the customer. Although in-restaurant dining has closed, pickup and delivery service continues. The current hours are 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. You can mobile order through the BK app for pickup, or you can use any of the delivery services like DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub, and Postmates. Burger King on Lyons at the 5 Freeway, now with service at 2 drive-through windows.
There are many memorable restaurants in Santa Clarita, but 3 words stand out from the crowd. Mom can cook.
Mamá puede cocinar.
Mom can cook the best Thai food on this side of the planet.
Mama fait la cuisine.
No matter what language you use, Mom Can Cook says it all. Thai food at its finest, all your favorite dishes and Mom's very own original specialties. Experience it on Soledad by the Canyon Country Post Office.
Mama 요리가 좋으세요?
Mom Can Cook.
Your hometown station.
KHTS is the only station I listen to.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 on the AM side. This is Matt Watson with my co-host Sara McDaniels. You're listening to Eye on the Valley, Homeschooling Answers. We're going to go now to Shane, our board op, for an update on the situation in the Grapevine. Shane?
Thank you, Matt. We want to keep you updated and informed. We know we usually do traffic, not as much lately, because we want to bring you the latest and most informative news on COVID-19. So if you are an essential services worker that has to travel, if you're going to or from the Bakersfield area, the I-5 Grapevine Freeway is closed in both directions. The 5 Freeway is going to be closed on the northbound side at Lebec Road and on the southbound side at Grapevine Road. This is due to a large vehicle collision that has resulted in a hazardous spill of liquid chloride in the northbound lanes. In addition to those closures, the westbound 138, where it connects to the northbound 5, is also closed for an unknown duration, so expect significant delays heading in both directions in that area.
Scary stuff, so stay clear of that, stay safe, and maybe we all just stay home for the time being, right? Now, before we get started, got a very important correction from our last break. This in from my editor and local watchdog. We mentioned the Sports Illustrated April Fool's joke, and I mentioned Sid Bream, who, of course, was a prominent outfielder in the 1990s, who's got such blazing fast speed that Barry Bonds wasn't able to throw him out at the plate in the 1992 National League Division Series. It was Sid Finch that was the April Fool's prank. Sid Finch, the fictitious pitcher out of Ireland, throwing the ball topping 110, 115 miles an hour. So thank you to Tony, my editor, for that. Very, very important on this April Fool's Day to make sure I've got my facts straight. You know, Monday we began our study of Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. The book, published in 1989, translated into 40 different languages, sold over 30 million copies. Covey, who studied history's most successful people and identified the habits that they have in common. So we study these habits and we try to develop those habits of highly successful people so that we can ourselves become highly successful and also instill those habits in our kids so that we can all continue on this journey toward success, whatever that looks like in your life. We mentioned, we started in a very logical place with habit 1. We talked about being proactive, planning your time, taking responsibility and taking initiative. You know, that key understanding was that you're in charge of you. Don't be a victim or make excuses. Be like our driveway DJ and take control of the things that you can, and don't stress over the things that you can't. Yesterday, on Tuesday, we talked about beginning with the end in mind. Figure out what you want out of this week, this year, this life. Then set your goals accordingly so that you can develop a vision. You need to see it. Develop a vision of what success looks like for you, and then chart that path. Plan the steps from here to there. Simple, right? Well, we've got another simple one for you today. We're going to look at habit 3. Put first things first. And this is one of the things that we work with our kids. They at our schools, they know exactly what it means to put first things first. It sounds pretty basic, pretty logical. We do the most important things first, right? Well, we teach our kids the mantra, work first, then play. That can be a little oversimplified, but it's a good way for our kids to frame it, because play can be very important in and of itself, but it's an easy way to understand it, right? The things that I have to do, we do first, and then the things that I want to do, we do next. And in fact, I would teach that in my 4th and 5th grade class. We would list things on things that we must do, things that we may do, and things that we want to do. And once you finish all of your must do's, then you can move on to the things of your may do's, or even into the things that you want to do. So that's a good way for our kids to think about how to put first things first. For us adults and for the older kids, those kids that are in middle school and high school, Covey used a tool that was actually developed by President Dwight D. Eisenhower. It is the matrix of importance versus urgency. This tool Eisenhower and Stephen Covey used to determine where to spend their time. And Sarah, if you wouldn't mind grabbing these images here and posting them on the Facebook Live link so that our listeners can look at it. We are on Facebook Live streaming. If you just go to Facebook and search for KHTS Radio, Sarah's going to be posting these images. But if you can imagine a quadrant or a graphic with 4 quadrants, okay? You take your paper and fold it in half horizontally, then vertically. In your upper left-hand corner, you've got quadrant 1. It's not so important with where it is, but what you do with it. Quadrant 1 are those things that are of high importance and highly urgent, okay? So these are the things with deadlines that are breathing down your neck, but are also very important. And we'll go into some examples in just a little bit. Quadrant 2 are those things that are very, very important, but not necessarily so urgent. They're not breathing down your neck right now, but they are very, very important, right? These are the things that you want to plan out. These are the things that you want to set aside. So if we're talking about examples, that quadrant 1, urgent and important, I've got to do now, right? I've got to get those done because they're super important and they're coming up right now. Quadrant 2 is the not urgent, but very important. We want to get to work on those, but we want to plan to make time to do that. We don't want to put it off too far because we want to make sure that we're very successful. Now let's go down the scale a little bit into quadrant 3. These are the things that are urgent but not important. Okay, well, you think, Matt, if it's not important, how can it be urgent? You know, you've got your kid tap dancing there going, Mom, I really want to do this. Mom, Mom, Mom. You know, you got your kids just rattling your cage. It's not necessarily important to you, but it is urgent, right? Or, maybe there's only 45 minutes left before your favorite show that you've been binge watching comes on, and so it is urgent, but maybe in the grand scheme of things, not necessarily that important. So those are the things that Eisenhower and Covey say that you want to delegate, okay? If you're working, it's urgent but not important. Those are things that you want to have somebody else handle for you. Here, we got to get this done, got to get it done right away, but if it slips, if some of the details are a little rough around the edges, it's not really that big a deal. Again, in the grand scheme of things, sure, we want to do everything with high quality. Quadrant 4 is the things that are not urgent and not important, and the obvious shines true. Hey, get rid of those, eliminate them. If it's not urgent, it's not important, get rid of it, okay? Let's talk about some examples. Quadrant 1, the urgent and important, are things like a crying baby, a fire in the kitchen, and some of those really important phone calls, right? We got to get to those right now. Those things that are not urgent but important, we want to live in that quadrant, right? We don't want things pressuring us because that can sometimes bring out less than optimal results, but we do want to focus on them. Things like exercise, improving our vocation, planning for the future, investing. those things that are not important, but urgent, like interruptions, distractions, and some other phone calls, you delegate those out, have other people work on them. And then those things that are not urgent or important are trivia, busy work, time wasters, the time that I spend surfing around Twitter and giggling at dog videos and things like that. We may need to eliminate that. I want to challenge you to use this tool to determine what you're going to spend your time on today. Okay? Take a look at our Facebook feed. Sarah's posted those. Use those. And for extra credit, teach your kids to use those quadrants as well. Trust me, if they can read, they can understand this, and they can use this tool. We're going to take this last commercial break. Please stay tuned. Christina DeBray will be joining us on the other side. She's going to be teaching us ways to help our kids deal with grief, frustration, and loss, something that we're dealing with, all of us lately. So you're listening to KHTS, SCVi Charter Schools Eye on the Valley, Homeschooling Answers. I'm Matt Watson with Sara McDaniels on your hometown station.
The minute I open my door,
Debbie Morris has a problem.
I say, oh my gosh.
A really big problem.
The dog, the cat, my 3-year-old.
Debbie's house is a mess.
How can one family create this disaster?
Debbie needs Made for You.
I need help.
Professional, residential, and commercial cleaning, locally owned. You choose the schedule, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, or even one-time seasonal cleaning. Call 255-2922. That's 255-2922. Made for You.
Made for You rescued me.
Hi, I'm Pastor Rusty from Real Life Church with a moment of encouragement. Can I take a moment and pray for all of our frontline healthcare workers? God, would you keep them safe and healthy? God, would you help them to be knowledgeable about the diagnoses and treatments of this disease? God, would you help them to stay clear-minded in the midst of surrounding panic? God, would you deliver them from anxiety for their own loved ones? God, would you give them compassion for every patient in their care? God, would you provide for them financially, especially if they fall ill and are unable to work? And God, would you help us in healthcare to exhibit extraordinary peace so that many would ask about the reason for our hope? God, would you help us to do good and to be good? We'll get through this the way we get through everything, together.
If you would like prayer, text the word prayer to 661-270-7788.
Chiquita Canyon Landfill takes the waste from our homes and local businesses and puts it to good use. With cutting-edge clean energy technology, Chiquita Canyon powers 10,000 homes each year by harnessing the methane gas from the landfill. So, the next time you wheel your trash can to the curb, feel good that your waste is on its way to making green energy at Chiquita Canyon.
Chiquita Canyon Landfill, our partner in sustainable living.
This is a Rita's Daybreak. There's a huge crowd at Rita's. With so many amazing flavors, every day's a treat. Let's see what folks are celebrating.
I lost my first tooth.
No more training wheels.
My dog photo got 37 likes.
3 kids, 3 activities, 0 meltdowns. There you have it. Layer it, blend it, or drink it with Italian ice and creamy custard. So many reasons to celebrate at Rita's. This has been a Rita's Daybreak.
Your hometown station, KHTS.
Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson with Sara McDaniels. You're listening to Eye on the Valley, Homeschooling Answers. We are being joined now by Christina DeBray, a licensed marriage and family therapist with a remarkable story of resilience and determination. She's a graduate of Cal State Northridge and Pepperdine University who practices right here in Valencia. She's developed proficiency in EMDR, trauma, complex trauma, just a whole slew of issues that our teens and our adults as well are dealing with. Things like grief and chronic terminal medical illness and all kinds of different stuff. She's got more than 18 years of speaking experience and works with medical professionals, organizations, patients, schools, parents, and business professionals. And, the next time that she surrenders to one of life's challenges will be the first. Christina, welcome back.
Hey, good to be back.
It's good to have you. You know, we mentioned before the break, we're all dealing with certain levels of grief and frustration and loss right now. We think of grief only coming around when we have a loved one that passes away, but grief can be the suffering of loss of anything. We talked earlier this week about how we were suffering the loss of baseball and the loss of getting together with our friends at school or hanging out at the mall and things like that. You know, you've talked to us before about the need to do something that's really important, but I think it's time to reteach it because, you know, one of us failed last night. You and I had a conversation, and I kind of missed the opportunity to set aside some time for grief. So, Christina, how do we help our kids deal with life's crud when it's starting to get us down?
Yes, absolutely. So the first thing to understand is what exactly does it mean to hold space for someone? It means that you're willing to crawl down into the gutter to spend a few minutes connecting with someone as they are. It's unconditional and complete acceptance in who, where, and what a person is and is experiencing. It is saying, I know this doesn't feel okay, and right now I'm here for you. I love you no matter what. Excuse me. Why is it important? In order for us to process, store, and learn from our emotions and painful experiences, we need to be able to have an arena and some time in order to allow ourselves the opportunity to absorb and find meaning in our experiences. How our memories are processed impacts our view of ourselves and the world around us. So how exactly is it done? The focus should be on connection, safety, and acceptance. Be an anchor. Don't question emotions or inner experiences, even if you don't understand them. Know that they are part of the process. Doing this allows people to trust themselves and their experiences more. Use active listening like, yes, I see. I hear that you're feeling very sad. Offer reminders that you are a resource by saying, I'm here for you. Don't say the words at least or but, because they are usually indicating, hey, I hear that, but I'm not willing to hold space for it.
Yeah.
Don't make it about you by telling them about a similar time you were struggling with something unless they ask about it.
I do that all the time.
It doesn't mean it's never indicated to share something brief of, you know, it sucks to be in the hospital or it sucks to be sick, right? You can maybe give a brief disclosure, but don't go down the rabbit hole of explaining your whole story. Understand that being a compassionate witness and staying present with someone who is experiencing grief is incredibly powerful. Realize that emotions don't always match up with logic, and that's okay. Don't force it. The processes happen in different parts of the brain. If it's appropriate, offer physical support, such as a hug. Know your limits. Know that you can't and do not have to fix it. Put your own oxygen mask on first. Make sure you're holding space for yourself first before you are able to effectively hold space for others. And this is not something that we can master overnight. It takes time, and it's important to be kind to yourself. It's okay to make mistakes, and it is a learning process.
Okay, so very important stuff. You know, I mentioned before that I had a friend that was dealing with some stuff last night, and I kind of failed. I immediately jumped right in to say, hey, no, those feelings that you're having right now aren't valid. You're a great person. And then, of course, as soon as I hung up the phone, your voice just started rattling around my head, and I thought, oh, man, I really failed at that one. I didn't leave space for grief in my friend's life. I didn't validate those very real feelings that he was having. You know, we do slip up from time to time, don't we?
Absolutely. And, what's important to remember is that there is no place of perfection that any one of us can ever achieve. It's constantly changing. And even just knowing, hey, maybe I'm not doing a good enough job of putting my own oxygen mask on first. This is what we're all dealing with right now with COVID, is that resources are limited. Self-care is limited. And so we're having to hold space for others and do a lot more than we normally are supposed to with much less resources.
Right. We do have just about one more minute, Christina. Is there any more keys or tips to help us do this? Things that can help us remember when we kind of get wrapped up in our friends' own emotional responses?
This is when it's important to think about reaching out for help or talking with someone else, getting feedback on what can I do better, or is it that I'm not taking care of myself well enough? Is it that this particular issue of grief is just not something that I'm able to do for someone else or be there for them? And what can I do better? How can I learn from it?
Yeah, really important. Thank you so much, Christina, for sharing. It is unfortunately time to wrap up, but we'll have you back again tomorrow. I want to thank you for joining us. I want to thank our other guests, Allison Bravo, coordinator of iLEAD Online, Graham Silver from Driveway DJ, and KHTS co-owner Carl Goldman. Christina, thanks so much for joining us. I want to thank our guests, or our listeners. Join us again tomorrow and every day at 9 a.m. You're listening to SCVi Charter School's Eye on the Valley Homeschooling Answers. I'm Matt Watson with Sara McDaniels on your hometown station, KHTS. Take care of each other.